My name is Loretta Nixon, Loretta Dalby Nixon, and I'm going to tell you how I met my husband, Richard. Uh, I was born in Provo, Utah. I was born in Provo, Utah, and Richard was born in Provo, Utah. In fact, we were born in the same maternity home, only about 4 years apart. And Richard's parents moved to Southern California, and my parents moved to Northern California. So I was raised in the Bay Area. And I graduated, and I came very close to taking on a residency of nursing at one of the hospitals in Oakland. But the Spirit said, give it a year in Provo, BYU, give it a year. And so I decided to come to Provo, and I decided to maybe take up be a dietitian. So that was my what I had planned on doing. And I didn't have it. My dad and mother were not that well off, and so I think to live in a dormitory at the BYU was about $50 a month, and I could get a home that was owned by the BYU. It was just a small home with maybe 5 girls in it, and I think I paid $35 a month. So there was $15 a month difference, and that was quite a bit in those days. And so I lived at Wallace House. Wallace House was situated where the Hinckley Institute is now stands. And one of my roommates, they were involved in family history. In fact, they're the ones that got me interested. I guess this is the Lord's hand in putting us all together. But so these two sisters decided they didn't want to go to Campus Branch. They wanted to go to a regular ward. So they decided to go down to the Oak Hills Second Ward. And I consented to go with them. And I think we walked there. It wasn't that far from Wallace House. And it was a mutual night. And the girls were lined up on one side and the boys were lined on the other. And Richard had just returned from his mission from Germany. And he looked us all over and decided that I was the one. And so that's how we first met. And then he was living with a professor at BYU, Bob Patch. And that night, Bob asked us if we wanted to ride home, and he was on the front seat, and these 3 girls were in the back. And that's my first encounter with Richard Nixon. And then he later, it wasn't until after I went home for Christmas and came back that he started courting me. And he decided to propose to me on 14th of February. And so he had arranged for all the girls, the other girls, to leave, so the house would be quiet. And that day, Joanne Smith, who was one of my roommates, her sister came in unexpectedly with 4 or 5 of her children. And it just kind of put a damper on things, of how he was going to do this proposal that he had planned. So they arranged to have her go in the back bedroom and stay, and we were in the living room and he proposed. And I said to him, I've got to pray about it. You're more sure than I am. I've got to pray about it. So that night I prayed about it, and the answer came. And so the next day I said yes. He came and picked me up to go to state conference at the Sarah Theater. I can just still remember. This is 68 years ago. And he wasn't president at the time, Elder Lee. Elder Lee was talking, and I can remember one thing that he said. He says, "There's wolves among us. Be careful." That was part of his talk. And so that was the beginning. And then we were going to wait until he came out of, we knew he was going to be inducted into the service, and we knew so we decided we'd wait until he came out of the service, and then we decided, no, why wait? We would get married in June, and then we decided, why wait? So we decided to get married April 1st, and Effie Dean said, only fools get married on April 1st. So we moved it up one more day, and we're married on the 31st of March, 1953. And have been married 68 years this March. And have had some wonderful experiences, and grateful for the blessings the Lord has given to us. Even in these days, these COVID days are hard. We're going to make it. Okay, anything more?
How many children? And tell us about some of your family
Oh,
life.
well, we were married 6 years before we were able to adopt our first son. And we were technically not able, shouldn't have been able to have children. And Uncle Harold was president of the Spanish American Mission, and he was coming up for conference in April. This was in April of 1958. And we went up and asked him to give us a blessing. And he blessed us, and 9 months later, Stephen came. And then after Stephen came to live with us, we adopted him. That's another story. Why 2 years later we had Christine, and 2 years later we had Catherine. And then 4 years later we had Carol, and 6 years later, after that, we had James. So technically we should not have any posterity, but the Lord has blessed us. We now have 21 grandchildren and soon to be 18 great-grandchildren. So we've been very blessed.